Let's imagine that you have ever asked yourself this question. What hurts the most to someone who didn't know how to appreciate you? Let's talk about that deep remorse that can suffer in someone who had the opportunity to be by your side. Someone to whom you opened your heart and gave the best of yourself, but who, unfortunately, treated you in the worst way. At times, we encounter people who take advantage of the trust and love we give them, using their power over us to show us their worst side. We give the best of ourselves, and in return, we receive the worst. That leaves a bitter feeling, a resentment that makes us think, I don't want to be with this person again, because I know I deserve better. But there is a part of us that, when remembering that person, plays with the idea that someday I might look back and regret not having valued us. It's in those moments when you wonder, what could hurt someone who didn't value you the most? Is there something that really affects them? Or do they just go on with their life without remorse? Let me tell you that, from an emotional point of view, it does not benefit you to spend your energy on revenge. The best revenge, in fact, is the one we don't plan. When we are not intentionally seeking to cause harm. Many times it is not revenge that comes. It is divine justice. Some call it karma. Call it what you will. We could say, over time the pieces begin to fit together on their own. And there are three things, not one, but three that usually bother the person who did not know how to value you. These events form a chain that is set in motion when you regain your clear vision, and you realize the need to reconnect with your self-love. As you move forward in your process of self-discovery, of loving and caring for yourself again, you begin to realize that revenge loses its importance. The ideas of getting even, the pain of feeling that someone didn't value you, and the torture of thinking that person couldn't see anything good in you, begin to fade away. There comes a point when these ideas stop tormenting you. And even though those three events that bother the one who didn't value you so much occur, you don't even notice them. You are so focused on your own growth and well-being that these events go unnoticed. And sometimes, you're not even aware that they happened. Recently, a woman who used to be counseled told her former counselor about an unexpected encounter with the person who failed to appreciate her. This individual was clearly offended and upset. Something she could not understand, as she had never done anything to harm him. Confused, she said, I never did anything wrong to him. Why does she harbor resentment? The counselor explained that although she had not tried to provoke him, she had done three actions that tend to deeply affect someone who did not value you. These actions were not intentional, but still, they had caused discomfort. The first of these actions is to begin to value oneself. The fact that a person finds themselves in a situation where they are chasing or craving love from someone who does not value them. It is not a reflection of the love he or she feels for that person, but of a lack of self-love. This reveals emotional deficiencies and an uncontrolled life, where one desperately looks outside for the love that is not found inside. When a person begins to adore themselves, they stop chasing after those who do not value them. And this, ironically, may be what bothers the most to those who did not know how to appreciate it at the time. It's easier for someone to not value someone who doesn't value themselves. But when that dynamic changes, the perception of both parties is transformed, generating resentment in those who are left behind. On the one hand, there is the person who, while not valuing you, maintains a respectful behavior and shows empathy for your feelings. But there is also the other side of the coin. That person who, feeling powerful, brings out the worst in himself and takes advantage of the fact that you are behind, treating you badly, giving you the minimum, and being insensitive. When you start to value yourself again, something inside you changes. You reconnect with your self-love and take charge of your life. And when your internal perception changes, inevitably the external changes as well. The first step in what hurts the most to someone who didn't value you is that you stop being a person who doesn't value himself and become someone who does. The second thing that hurts the most to someone who didn't know how to value you is when you idealize that person. Stop putting them on a pedestal. Take away the power they had over you. When you start to love yourself, you realize that you deserved better treatment, and you would not allow the opposite again. This becomes evident when that person notices a change in you. They sense in your energy and in your attitude that you are no longer willing to follow the same pattern. When this person tries to come back and show you that you can still be there for them, they find that you no longer welcome them with open arms. She may propose something to you, and you simply don't accept, because you are no longer interested. Even if you communicate with her, the interaction changes because you no longer see her as special or indispensable. You start to see the reality, and understand that you were there for the wrong reasons. Now, you become responsible for your own happiness, and you no longer need to put up with anything from anyone, because you give yourself what you need. When that person who didn't value you realizes that not only have you changed, but also the circumstances have changed, it affects him or her deeply. But what can hurt her the most is when someone comes along who sees in you what she didn't know how to appreciate. And with the door closed, now enjoy that opportunity. When you start to value yourself, and stop idealizing the person who did not value you, you change your fantasy into reality. You stop living in castles in the air, dreaming that this person will realize your value, and you will be together. Instead, you start living in the present, and you open yourself up to meet people who really notice you. By valuing yourself more, you attract people who are more like-minded and compatible with you. When you find someone with whom you build a balanced and beautiful relationship, this is noticed and transmitted. The person who did not know how to value you, seeing you happy and fulfilled, may feel confused and regretful. It is possible that he or she will try to approach you again, maybe superficially, but you don't react with the same euphoria as before, nor do you give it the same importance. That person, used to you rolling out the red carpet for her, moving on with her life, thinking that maybe you'll come back for her, but seeing that you've found someone else and you're happy, she realizes she's missed a valuable opportunity. Inwardly, she may feel frustrated and angry, thinking that it could have been her who is now smiling in photos, who enjoys trips and special moments with you. So, without having done anything intentionally to cause harm, you've shown that you value yourself, and that you can be happy, without needing to seek approval from someone who didn't know how to value you. This is what can affect that person the most. Seeing from the outside what they have lost. It's funny, almost ironic, how someone can get upset when they see that you have moved on, especially if that person never treated you well. A woman shared her experience with her former counselor. She had been generous and kind to someone who only gave her the bare minimum in return. Now that same person was upset, because she did not accept an invitation for coffee, for she had finally found happiness. Those individuals often assume that you will always be available, that your dedication is unconditional. Seeing that you have moved on and that you are happy, forces them to question their own decisions, and the conclusion they come to is that they made a mistake, that they missed a great opportunity. This can cause someone to whom you gave only good things to feel hurt, because it hurts them to acknowledge that they wasted something valuable. So you see, these three things that bother someone who didn't know how to value you are not acts of revenge on your part. They are simply the result of your own growth and pursuit of happiness. If we had to sum it up, what hurts the most for someone who didn't value you is that you get over it, that you move on and take charge of your life. Your well-being and decision to not settle for unhappiness is what hurts the most to someone who didn't appreciate you. This is not an act of malice on your part. It is the natural consequence of seeking your own happiness and well-being. See you in the next video.